What's up, everybody? It's me, San Martin, and what we're doing today is getting a market update with my buddy from another mother, Brent Wofford. But we got to get this party started, so stay tuned because they got some great information and a great guest. With that being said, let's go. Bro, I better put you on the bigger screen. I don't even know what I'm doing over here. All right, my friend, get it going.
All right. Hey, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to the August real estate market update. We're going to go over all the July stats. I've got Tyler Croft. We're trying to figure it out for three people here on StreamYard. I've got Tyler Croft here, who is a lender with Croft Co Lending. And we're going to dive into the market stats. So let's go ahead and get that started so you can know the latest on what's been going on here in the Prescott area. All right, let me move this over a little bit so you can see it. All right, so we're diving into statistics straight out of the Prescott Area Association of Realtors database. So this is anything that has gone through a realtor in Prescott. If it was a for sale by owner or an off-market property, we probably don't have the stats in here. But yeah, so let's dive into this and I can show you what's been going on. So first of all, we're going to look at Prescott itself. As of last month or as of the end of July, we had 535 listings on the market, which is a new high for us over the last year. So you can see prior to that, August of last year, we were at 484. So we're up, and compared to June, we were at 483 at 535. So we now have the most number of houses on the market in Prescott than we've had in over a year. So what that means is if you're a buyer, you've got the biggest selection than you've had in the last year. So take advantage of that if you're buying. Let's also look at what's sold. So sold, we had 126 sales that happened last month. In the month prior, we had 157. So we are down a little bit, actually, surprisingly, from January to July. Looking at the prices of homes here in Prescott, last month for July, the median. So when we talk about median, we're looking at the big swath of all the sales and what was the number in the middle. We like to look at medians because if you take an average, you might have a couple $1 million sales, and that doesn't represent the market as a whole here in Prescott. We do have $1 million houses that sell, but that's not that's not the normal price point for our area. So we go by median. Anyways, if you didn't know that, now you know. Median sales price for last month was $620,000, and in the month prior was $587,000. So we are seeing the median sales price go up month over month here in Prescott. Sold to list ratio is another thing that we like to look at and we like to watch. Last month it was at, sale to list price. So what the house actually sold for versus what the MLS or what Realtor.com said that the last sales price, the advertised sales price was on it, and they're getting 98.2%. So that's telling me that on average right now, buyers are getting about a 1.8% discount off of the last advertised price that it was for sale. Days on market has dropped significantly. In June, we were at 50 days on market. So we were looking at almost 2 months, about a month and a half on market. And the numbers as of July, 38 days on market. So houses are starting to sell quicker, which is pretty interesting, being that we have inventory up, but houses are selling a bit quicker. The average sales price is up, and you're seeing what the sold to list price ratio is here. Sales are down, but the average list price is up. All in all, what you need to know, one thing that we look at is called absorption rate, or what the months of supply is in homes. And this is how we figure out if we're in a seller's market or in a buyer's market. According to the data, we are at 4.3 months of inventory. Anything under or less than 5 months of inventory, by definition, is a seller's market. Anything 5 to 7 months of inventory is going to be considered a balanced market. Anything above 7 months of inventory is going to be considered a buyer's market, right? So according to 4.3 months, we should be in a seller's market. with the way the market's been and what we're seeing, this isn't true over every price point in the market. With the average or the median price point being 620, I would say anything under 600,000 is probably going to be reflective of us being in the seller's market still. 600 to about 800,000 is going to be a pretty balanced market. And then, inventory over 900,000 or over $1 million is going to be a buyer's market. So that is your wrap on the Prescott stats. Let's dive into Prescott Valley. And if you have any questions, drop them in the chat on this video, and we'll be able to see them and answer those questions in real time. All right, Prescott Valley. So we're going to go over all the same numbers. I'm going to kind of breeze through them a little bit quicker now that you know the definitions on them.
Hey, Brent, I actually got a question. When you suggest the buyer's market, what kind of buyers are there for this market? Out of curiosity.
What do you mean? Like cash buyers, finance buyers, or demographics? What are you? Buyers
market. When you say buyers, I want to know what kind of buyers are buying into this market. As of lately, obviously being here all of my life, born and raised, and Tyler, you're down in Scottsdale, Phoenix. Like the conversation would be like, what kind of buyers are buying in the market? And in regards to, is it the local community or is it outsourced community that are buying with cash or buying with loans from the bank? And if it's by cash, are they paying more? And if it's by loans, what does that look like as far as like newcomer buyers and people that are just kind of like, in the middle of wanting to buy? Because for me, I want to buy a home, but I feel like it's like a bad time to buy a home. Can you elaborate a little bit on the buyer's market, quote unquote? Sorry, it might be a little bit like three-part question, but I got you.
Yeah, so let's dissect that a little bit. So for right now, with the way what the stats are saying, it's a buyer's market in like the $900 to $1 million and up price range. And that's just because we don't have a huge volume of buyers in that price range here in Prescott, but we do have a lot of houses that are for sale for that amount. So we're looking at, when we say buyer's market, that means there's way more inventory on the market than there are buyers for that price range, right? So that's one part. The people that are buying these $1 million plus homes are typically from out of town. If you're in that price range, or you're looking for a house that's a move-up house here locally. But more often than not, in that price range, we're seeing buyers come in from somewhere else. Coming in from the valley down there by where Tyler's at, down in the Phoenix metro area. Even seeing buyers come out of Tucson and seeing buyers come out of California.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. I actually had a person message me from Canada, and they saw this they saw this location because of a picture that was shared 1 million times, and I was like, wow, that's so amazing. But they are literally traveling here because of this picture. So I think they might end up buying. I might know somebody that could probably sell them a home.
Exactly. We'd be happy to help. And to answer your other part of your question, it's a mix between cash buyers and finance deals. It really all depends on the individual situation. If they're coming out of California, they're probably selling a house that's worth more than it is here, and they're banking a bunch of equity from that house. And sometimes they have enough equity to drop cash here, and other times, they'll drop half to, a quarter, 25 to 50% down, and then they'll use someone like Tyler to finance the rest of it.
Nice. Yeah, and I'll chime in here a little bit for you guys. Thanks for having me too. I appreciate you. I always recommend, if you're wanting to know who's moving here, why are they moving, stuff like that, a really great source for statistics is going to be U-Haul ranks. So U-Haul, obviously we all know U-Haul, they help people move from one state to another, right? So they actually gather some of the best data on that, who is moving and where are their trucks going from and to, and where are they staying. So number 7 is what we ranked in 2022 for growth in Arizona as a whole. So for Prescott and your guys' side of the valley, I assume there's a lot more buyers from either out of state that still want to move to a, amazing place like Arizona, where you have all the versatility of desert, great, we're hot, but we're not too cold. And we have trees up in Prescott and Flagstaff, and we have snow, but we're still, you can snowbird back and forth. So second homes are still a great option here. I think that really attributes to the lifestyle we have in Arizona, and that's why people are moving here.
Wow. I want 2 homes, so we could go in on this, man. I want Prescott for my summer home and Phoenix for my winter home.
There you go, man. That's what we do down here.
That.
Yeah, a lot of people that I've done business with in the past have bought second homes, in the Northwest Valley for that purpose, because, being down here right now, it's like 100 and something out right now. And what is it where you guys are at? Like 80, 90 maybe?
I think it's low 90s. I haven't looked at the weather in a couple hours, but
this morning it clocked in at 65 degrees outside.
Oh, it's beautiful this morning.
Yeah, but in a matter of, I think, was 2 hours, it jumped up to 80, 82, 83.
There you go.
We have a huge influx of temperatures, but I tell you what, it's enjoyable and it's bearable. That's for sure.
Yeah, but cool.
All right. Thanks for the question, Sam. Let's dive into Prescott Valley stats now. So Prescott Valley last month, there were 71 homes that sold, and there were 215 that hit the market. So, or 215 active listings on market. I'm sorry. New listings on market was 119. So we did have a surplus of homes coming on market last month, which drove the inventory up. But Prescott Valley is still not seeing the number of the amount of inventory our homes for sale on market that we've seen in the past year. Over the past year, the max was 303, and that was last September. So we are still not even 215. Yeah, we're not anywhere close to 300 yet. So with that being said, let's look at the pricing. So the sold median sales price in Prescott Valley last month was $443,000. Which was surprisingly down from June of 469. So don't know what the anomaly is there, but yeah, prices went down. There's a number of factors. It would only be a guess of why, it went down so much. But let's look at the sold to list ratio. So, if you're buying or if you're selling, how much are you actually going to get for the property? Sale to list price ratio was at 98.5. So again, about a 1.5% discount on average off of the listed price or the for sale price online. Days on market dropped significantly. In June, we were at 50 and now at 31.9 days on market. So what that means is the average time a house takes from when it goes on the market for sale to when it goes under contract. So just so you know what that means. Yeah, absorption rate though. So if we're looking at that stat, we always like to look at as realtors and lenders, 2.51 months of supply, which tells me that we are still in a housing shortage in Prescott Valley, even though inventory went up over June. We're still in a housing shortage, which tells me that it's still a bit of a seller's market over there in Prescott Valley. Now let's dive into, go ahead, Tyler.
I was going to say, I think those lower prices are probably, like the prices dropping a little bit, is just to show the competitiveness in that market with the few extra listings. And maybe seller, I don't know about you, but it kind of sounds like maybe some sellers out there undercutting themselves a little bit to get their homes sold a little bit faster, offering more concessions, whatever it may be, just to get them off the market faster, which is keeping everything pretty balanced, even though it's a seller market. That's what it seems like to me. But
yeah, I'd agree with you on that. Again, with the way the market is, interest rates are, and we'll dive into interest rates here in a minute. It's just making it different. Even though the data says we're in a seller's market, it doesn't feel like that on the ground. It doesn't really necessarily feel like that when we're writing offers or negotiating offers, unless it is a move-in ready house that's priced at or below market value. Then they're seeing multiple offer situations with those homes. But for the majority of homes being sold out there, we're not seeing that, which that would be a true sign of it being a seller's market, is how it was a year and a half ago when there was multiple offers on every single property that went up for sale, unless it was a full rehab project, or significantly overpriced. We had some people out there that were just dreaming on what they were going to sell it for, right? They're significantly pricing it over market value.
Yeah, I mean, it's like me. If I listed my house, I'd want the moon and back, because it's my domicile. It's where I'm at, right? But totally get it.
Yep. All right, let's dive into the Chino Valley market stats. So as of last month, there was 31 homes that sold. We had 45 new homes hit the market, so just a few more hit the market than what actually sold, which bumped inventory up to 77 homes on market, which is still way low for Chino Valley. I mean, look, in the last year, last September, we were at 113 houses on market. Right now, we are at 77. And an accurate reflection of this is over in the list price and the sales price. Look at this. The sold median sales price is up to $440 right now, just slightly down from the month prior of June, but you can see overall it's trending upwards. And this is a pretty good reflection of having a lack of inventory and not having enough homes on market for the buyers that want to buy them. Sold to list price ratio. So they're getting 96.3. Oh, that's original list price. Sorry. 98.3% of what the last advertised price for sale was on the home is what it's actually selling for. So right in line with Prescott and Prescott Valley, you're looking at just over a 1% discount on average from the list price. Days on market down to 40.9 average days on market in July, which is down from 66 in June. So we're seeing a trend across all three markets here, Prescott, Chino, and Prescott Valley, of days on market decreasing, which is a good sign. That's a good sign for sellers. And then for buyers, you need to know this data because you need to know how quick a house is going to sell. Don't sit around for a month. Another thing too I'm going to dive into with Tyler and we're going to talk about is getting pre-approved before you start looking at homes, because with the days on market going down, your odds of somebody else snatching it up before you get pre-approved, if you've already seen it, is a lot higher. Yeah. So that's our market stats for Prescott Valley and Chino Valley. Tyler, Stan, any questions?
Oh, I think I'm good. I kind of understand it. One thing being down here in the Valley more, I have family up in Prescott and, have some friends who have places up in Flagstaff in Northern Arizona, but the demographic areas that you just mentioned, Prescott Valley, and Chino Valley, for anybody down here in the Valley or outside of us, I feel like they're different scopes, right? Like Prescott is going to have higher priced homes. Prescott Valley is going to have maybe the Prescott feel, but a little bit less purchase price or, the more affordability. And then Chino Valley is a little bit more north, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
And it has maybe bigger yards or the amenities that you want, but not really less amenities that you want, like the city life, right, of downtown, but maybe you get a bigger lot or something. Is that is that all kind of correct? And you guys are up there way more than me, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Chino is more of your rural area where you're going to have an acre, you can have 2 acres, have some farm animals, kind of be left alone, have some breathing room, some elbow room, where Prescott and Prescott Valley are more condensed when it comes to residential housing. So
I'm just going to pop up a little map on the screen right here. And it's kind of like a great conversation because, naming every one of those towns in our area are literally demographics are so different. Like if you come a little bit towards Prescott, Arizona, and a little bit southeast or southwest, it turns into nothing but forest, which is I think it's the biggest Ponderosa place. And then if you go into Prescott Valley, it literally is the valley. And as you could probably see on the map right here, Chino Valley is a part of that valley. So we get like all these flavors of land and development here. But I believe that every piece of these properties are valuable in the sense of where they're located and what it provides. So I just wanted to throw that out there. It's like a little fun fact. When you say something like, it seems like the same thing, it's so crazy that the demographics just change really, really quick. Is it demographics or topography?
Well, both change. Demographics is going to be like about the people that actually live there. Okay. So you're talking about like age, family stats, like all that stuff. But then, the topography is the actual terrain itself that we live on, which is completely different from one to the next to the next. Prescott's more foresty.
Exactly.
We got pine trees. Prescott Valley is more rolling hills, and Chino is more flat.
Yeah, like your background right now, that's actually Watson Lake?
That is, yep.
Yeah, so we even got lakes up here in the Prescott area, so it's beautiful no matter what it is. But the prices, I as a curiosity, do you think that any of the price of living here, meaning the cost of houses, are going to drop anytime soon?
I don't know, because I mean, you can see what they've been doing based on what we just went over, right? For the market summary, as far as the prices, the median sold prices aren't dipping significantly. And once rates go down, more buyers are going to jump into the market, and we're going to have bidding wars, which is going to drive prices up. So I don't think the cost of like the cost of homes is going to go down. You know, obviously, if rates go down and the cost of homes stay the same, then mortgage rate or mortgage payments drop, which then you could say the cost of living is reduced, but that's going to be offset pretty quick by bidding wars.
Yeah, that it reminds me of the book from Rich Dad Poor Dad in regards to having assets and having liabilities. Do you still think that homes and housing is a liability at this time in the current market?
Tyler, you want to take that one?
So yeah, sure. I don't think owning a home is essentially a full-blown liability. I think it depends on where you are financially. It could be a complete liability if you are not financially stable enough to hold that asset in the current cost of owning a home today. But if you are able to utilize that asset to help you financially, meaning like saying you're a business owner, entrepreneur, I'm sure you do your taxes, and then that's always a cringe moment, right? Like, I got to do my taxes. I got to figure out how I can save on this or do this to maybe show less income or something like that. Real estate is a great way to do that, right? Mortgage interest rates, even though they may be higher, that's maybe your saving grace for today. And it could be a financial liability, but it's also going to help you structure your tax returns and things like that going forward, even for the meantime until rates come down, and then you can refinance and do those things. So I really do think it's a great thing for a lot of self-employed borrowers today to use. If you are a W-2 employee and you're struggling to make a housing payment currently, and you're looking to buy a home and the payment's going to go up, and you're going to have to take on all of the expenses of owning a home as well, landscaping, if your water heater goes out, your AC goes out, any of those things come up and you don't have the financial stability to take care of those things, yeah, it can be a liability. And owning a home isn't for everybody right this moment, but if you are aware of how you can structure the benefits of home ownership, it can be a huge tool to your advantage and actually create generational wealth for you. So I hope that answers your question.
That was a great answer. We have another Facebook user. Sorry, we don't know your name. If you want to go ahead and drop your name, please do so in the comment box. How much has land value increased in the area during the past few years, like price per acre?
I can answer half that question in a short amount of time. Let's pull this up. I guess it didn't work. Where's my... There we go. That's what I wanted. So in the short time, like I can't pull up the price per acre unless I deep dive into it. But just pulling market stats based on the whole MLS that we have. So we're talking about the Quad Cities area up here. Anything that's been entered into MLS regarding just vacant land sales. You can see as of last year in August, the median sales price for land was $44,500. Like I said, I don't have the data here to tell me how many acres that was, but I can tell you now, as of July, last month we were at $63,500 for the average sales price, and then the month prior we were at $45,000. So this is telling me the cost of land is going up. It's going up and then down a little bit, and then it goes back up. With the seasons, we have different sales fluctuations, right? So in the winter months, we typically sell less, and then in the summer months, we sell more. But yeah, according to this data here for the last year, the price of land is going up. By how much, I can't answer that. And what the price per acre is, I can't answer that on the shorthand.
Yeah, and I would attest to being being in contact with builders in the Phoenix area at the very least, builders are looking at a lot of land development, especially here in Arizona. We have a huge growth potential for big business and things like that coming economically to the state as a whole. And when that happens, typically land values would rise, right? Because builders and businesses and things like that are looking for opportunity zones and places where they can park their money or build structures to house their employees or employees of other places they're looking to do. Multifamily development in Arizona is huge. So I think, to answer it very briefly and broadly, it would be, it's increasing. How much? Probably pretty quickly, as you could see from his graph, in a short period of time, because of how much demand there is in the builder space for vacant land. But then that's business wise, right? So when it comes to consumer vacant land, like, are you going to go out and buy, a $200,000 4-acre lot in Chino Valley right now, or in Phoenix right now? As a consumer, is that a smart thing to do? Yes, maybe, no. That all comes down to your business plan and what you want to do with it, right?
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question, Alexis. Thank you for commenting your name, and thank you for watching. Just want to go ahead and let you guys know that you guys can get a hold of these guys. Their name and information has been scrolling on the bottom. So if you have any more questions that you want to do off the air or behind the scenes, be free to go ahead and message them. Their phone number is scrolling right here on the bottom. Oop, I lied to you. And there it is.
There it
now
goes.
it's scrolling. So if you guys want to get a hold of them, I just wanted to insert that just in case Alexis wants to go ahead and get more in depth with the answers, or maybe she has a question with something that's personal for her.
Cool.
What else do we got, my friend?
Tyler, you want to dive into mortgage news and what's kind of going on in that space?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to. I'm sure it's kind of the elephant in the room, right? What are rates? What are they going to do? Where's your crystal ball? That's the big question that every lender gets asked, and anybody that's looking at the market rates. Rates are high today, if you will, right? We have a national average of like 7%, low sevens. So you're going to see a lot of volatility in the market. We're used to watching interest rates and the market and things on our side over the last couple decades, monthly or quarterly, and watching the news outlets and things like that. With how quickly we get data now and how gray the market is with what the Fed's doing, we can't really predict right off the bat what's going to happen every week, right? So we are monitoring things weekly. Volatility is extremely high. We could be in the 7s one week, in the 6s the next week. It's just changing so fast and frequent that there's not one thing or crystal ball that anybody, if you have somebody telling you rates are going to come down next month, I would tell you don't listen to them. We don't know if that's going to happen. There's no evidence, like hard, solid evidence in history that shows that is going to happen. Could it happen? Yeah, sure. They could get lucky and tell you that the crystal ball is going to change, and the market's all of a sudden going to dip down, and homes are going to flood into the market, and rates are going to drop. But is that likely? Probably not, right? So let's get back to the 30-year fix though. So if you're looking at a conventional interest rate, 30-year fix on a national average, it's going to be around 7% without any discount points. And if you don't know what that is, call me. It's another conversation. But essentially, it's prepaid interest to buy your rate down. And if you were to do that, you could potentially get into the 5% pretty easily if you have seller concessions and other things where you can leverage the current market for the price point that you're looking at. Now, if you're in a market with $300,000 homes and there's 40 other buyers looking for that exact same property in that area you want, you're probably not going to get as much concessions, if any, versus, hey, I'm looking for that $600,000, $700,000 home in an area maybe not everybody wants, or there's not as much competition because of the price point. And you can ask the seller to pay some of that and get you into that better price range and make it more affordable for you to obtain those homes. And then, of course, if you're looking at FHA, FHA is a great way to make it more affordable for you today with lower interest rates, lower mortgage insurance premiums. Mortgage insurance premiums, everybody says PMI, right? You hear that term, MI, PMI. Nobody likes that. No, even we don't like it as lenders. We don't want to put that on you, but it is how we can do it. So that way you don't have to come in with those large down payments, 20% down, 25% down, to be able to purchase a home. You know, you can put as little as 3.5% down with an FHA loan and still make it affordable. And in the last year, FHA has actually reduced how much they will charge for mortgage insurance, which is a great benefit to borrowers. We needed that, you know, for affordability in a whole. And I think that also played a big part in why we saw kind of that influx in those numbers you were talking about earlier, Brent, of, you know, homes going off of the market a little bit faster last month than the month prior, because it takes a little while for people to hear these things. You know, we got that update on FHA mortgage insurance months ago, you know, beginning of the year type stuff. And now it's starting to trickle down that, hey, it is a little bit more affordable to get that if I do these things. I ask the seller to pay some of my closing costs or buy down my rate, or, you know, I use an FHA loan instead of a conventional loan to help with that monthly payment to get me qualified, because they have a little bit more lax terms for qualifications and eligibility. So if you can take advantage of some of those programs, or even just, you know, government-backed loans like FHA and VA, affordability can be possible. Is it there for everybody? No. And that's just the world we live in with inflation, right? So, but hopefully that's a good take on today's rates. If anybody has any questions about today's rates, just reach out to me and I can get in some specifics. But I don't ever want to quote a rate over the air like this, right? I don't think that would benefit anybody. So,
no, well, because it's unique to the individual based on a myriad of different factors. So just because it says the average rate today is that doesn't mean that's going to be your rate. Your rate could actually be a little lower, or a little higher. So
exactly. And as a mortgage broker, I work with over 84 different lenders, and we can shop that rate. So there's lenders out there that might have an appetite for that same scenario at a lower interest rate. And, you know, we can work things out to where it's not going to cost as much, or, you know, we shop that for you as a broker. And that's one of the benefits of working with an independent mortgage broker versus going to your bank and they offer you their rate and that's it. You know,
I got a question. I don't mean to interrupt. As if viewers are looking right now in regards to you know, getting loans or whatnot, what are some of the prerequisites should they come to the table with and be prepared to have if they were to ever come and try to get a loan?
Yeah, so as far as eligibility requirements, there are programs, there are things that we can do and we can look at to try to get you into a home sooner than later. Credit score requirements there's a plethora of different ones depending on the program that you choose and you pick, right? But ultimately, if you have a score that's under 580, you probably want to work on something, you know, try to figure out how can I get this score up? It's going to help you with your qualification. It's going to help you with the interest rate that you're going to qualify for and how much, you know, your closing costs are going to be. It's going to make it more affordable the higher your credit score. So the first thing you ever want to do is look at, all right, what's my credit like? Am I even eligible based on, you know, maybe a 580 base? Can we go below 580 on some things? Yeah. Is it extremely likely? Not always, right? You have to meet certain criteria or have good offset factors. One really good analogy that I've taken away and started using a lot is if you think of when you're applying for a loan, there's 3 legs to a stool, right? And if you take one of those legs away, you're probably going to fall over, right? Now, same thing goes with a loan. You have 3 legs. You have income, you have credit, and you have your assets. So if you have, you know, great income and you got great credit, but you don't have any money down, we have a program, down payment assistance that can try to help you with that third leg to keep you standing, right? And there's takeaways from that. So it's not always hey, here's a bunch of free money. There's probably some type of give and take relationship with that, maybe a higher interest rate, or hey, you can't refinance for 6, 7, 8 months, or even a few years without a penalty, things like that. But that three-legged stool is what you always want to focus on if you're brand new to applying for a mortgage. Look at your income, look at your credit, and look at how much money or assets you have available to you to help you purchase that home. So hopefully that helps answer that in a general sense.
Most definitely. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Absolutely. Cool. Oh, but with that view, how do I get to where we're all the same? There we go.
There we go.
Hey, we're back.
We all the same, bro. We all the same.
Still trying to learn, StreamYard here. So, before we wrap up our show, let's dive into a couple national headlines for news and kind of talk about how they apply to everybody here in the Prescott area. So let me share this one. There we go. So if mortgage rates fall to 5%, the housing market could get interesting. Could, I don't think is the right word. Will, I think is the more accurate word. What do you think, Tyler? We get rates down to 5%. Like, is it going to get interesting?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think 5% is a sweet spot. It'll help with affordability tremendously. Now, if rates drop down to 5%, I think what you got to remember is why did they drop? 9 times out of 10, there's probably going to be some economic factor that caused that, right? So bad news in the economy is typically good news for mortgage rates and things like that, because it's showing, people can't afford these 7%. They can't afford a 6%. We're dropping that down to 5 because inflation went the exact opposite direction. Now we have layoffs or something's going on to create that, right? So not everybody will be able to take advantage of that. You might be the one involved in that layoff. You might be the one involved in that, stock that came down, and now all that money you had for your down payment and your stocks is gone, right? So there's a lot of factors that can give and take. So it's always a good time to buy if you have the means. But if 5% happens, I can tell you a lot of those people that have been just waiting on the sidelines, that have prepared themselves, are going to come out of the woodworks, and they are all going to want a piece of that pie. And they'll jump on any opportunity. So,
yeah, I agree with you on that 100%. I mean, you're looking, if rates get to 5%, you're going to have a lot of buyers who are currently in a house that might be somewhere around 5%, maybe a little less interest rate. They can then justify jumping from a 3.5% rate to a 5% rate, where right now, I know people that are at a 3.5% rate, and they can't mentally justify going to a 7% rate when they have a 3.5% interest rate right now. So they feel almost like trapped or locked into their current house because of how affordable it is for them compared to what it would be if they bought that same house at 7%.
Yeah, 100%. And all of the cash buyers right now, why do you think they would want to use their cash, right? Because rates are high. They don't want to put their money in that when they could put it somewhere else and, make some money if rates are low. So as soon as those come down, now you're not competing with just Joe and Mary down the road, or, San Martin up in Prescott looking to buy a house. You're looking to compete with, investors that have capital, that are like, hey, I don't need to use my capital anymore because now my cash flow is back. I can make money. I can make more money by utilizing a lower interest rate loan. The buyer pools start to get really big when rates come down. And that's why we had 2021 and 2022 or 2020 and 2021 with COVID, when rates were so low. The investor pool was huge. We had people coming out of everywhere to get a loan, and everybody was competing, and you had to throw $100,000 over, or whatever it may be, to get a good, decent house, because that was just the market. And you could go right back into that if all of our buyer pools just grow back to that same size. 3%'s, That's a low rate. 2% was really low rate. So we ever see that coming back to that? It could, but is it likely? Not really.
No.
Yeah. So, and that's where it comes down to, is 5% going to be the new great rate? Probably. It's a lot better than 7. I can tell you that.
Well, yeah, and with more buyers entering the market at 5%, that's when, like I was saying earlier, we're going to have more bidding wars that get very interesting, like it did in 2021, and home prices are just going to escalate from there. So, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and neither is Tyler. But one thing we can tell you as real estate professionals, if you buy a house at today's prices with a 7% interest rate and rates fall to 5%, there's one thing you can change, and that's your rate, because you can refinance with Tyler to get a lower interest rate, but your principal amount will stay the same. Versus if you sit on the couch and you wait to buy, rates go down to 5%, but now that house that you were going to buy is $100,000 more. That price increase has just offset the savings in rate, and now you're financing more home. You've got a higher principal amount than you would if you bought today and then refinanced to 5%, if that ever happened, which we don't have a crystal ball. We're not advisors. We can't tell you when or if it's going to happen. But if it does happen, then you can always refinance.
So the best time to buy is now.
is whenever you're financially stable. Whenever you're financially stable enough to buy a home, the market does not dictate why you buy a home or when you buy a home. What dictates that is your financial stability. How confident are you in your income? How confident are you in your assets? How confident are you in your credit? Those are the 3 things, especially if you're getting a loan, you have to have, right? So, but yeah, definitely if you can do those things right now, it's a good time, because later down the road, you're just going to be shaving off. It's going to go the opposite direction versus going up, right?
Correct.
Well, buying a house is kind of like that old, proverb. I don't know where it came from, but it says, when the best time to plant a tree was or is?
Yesterday.
10 years ago?
When's the best time to buy a house? 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
So, that literally, because 10 years ago was 2013, and the bottom of the market, bottom of prices was actually 2012.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the things in real estate. It's how it goes. When's the best time to buy a house? 10 years ago. So why are you waiting?
Hindsight is always 20/20. I mean, could go on and on, right? So I do think if anybody wants a good takeaway about how to do those numbers, if you're a numbers person, look up or Google amortization calculator. That's AMORTIZATION. And you can literally plug in the loan amount, your interest rate in a 30-year term, calculate that, and then change the number to $50,000 or $100,000 more. If rates came down, that's probably what you're going to see, right, in the market. And just look at the difference in the monthly payment. Even when you put a 5% or a 7% rate, hundreds of dollars different. And or even if they're the same payment, like now that rates are down to 5, you could refinance that, like you said, Brent, and that's going to save you that couple $100. And all it took you was a couple $100 over the next 1, maybe 2 years for that rate to drop, if that's how long it takes, right? So the cost of doing it now is extremely low if you can afford it.
Yep. And that leads into our next headline, which is why so many Americans feel trapped in their homes by their low rate mortgages. So we just kind of talked about this. I was saying that, those buyers are not buyers, those people that I know that are in the 3 to 4% mortgage range right now with their current mortgages, they feel trapped, or they don't want to move because they don't want to get rid of that mortgage and have their house payment significantly increase because they're getting a bigger house. Or in some instances, people who want to downsize to a smaller house or a house that is less in value, or that is a cheaper house. I wouldn't necessarily cheaper by like the amenities, but say a smaller house, they want to downsize, right?
Yeah.
So a house at a lower price point, but with a higher interest rate, they get the same payment that they currently have in their bigger home. So those are the people that are feeling trapped in their homes. So
yeah, and for those people, and it's not everybody's appetite, right? But for those people, what I always recommend is, what if you rented your current house out? There's a need for rentals. There is a absolute need for that right now. And instead of giving that to institutionalized investors to do, why don't you take advantage of that market and use your low interest rate like an investor would, and they are currently, and maybe take some profits from that to offset the new payment until later on down the road you want to sell that property and get rid of it, and profit from it or whatever it may be. But in the meantime, utilize your equity. There's home equity lines of credit where you don't have to change your current rate. There's very creative ways you can access the equity without, giving up what you currently have. So, there's some very creative ways you can do that and structure these moves. And you can do that now, or you can, wait until the rates change and try it when everybody else is going to be in there, in the market again. So it all comes down to why you're moving, and do you want to do it now, or do you have the appetite to hold on to this asset that you have for a little bit longer and maybe help you with that transition and the cost to transition, right? So just all in the eye of the beholder. But I tell everybody, get a little bit more creative in these markets, because high interest rates aren't the only thing you have to think about. You need to start flipping that into, all right, well, I own this. This is mine. I'm stuck in this, but it's a good stuck. Would you rather be, stuck in a 7% and rates went up to, 110, right? Like you don't want your 18%. You don't want any of that. So you're in a very good spot to be able to take advantage of that and even move into a new home and have some of those costs taken over. So
yeah, when they interviewed this couple in this article, he said he'd be more likely to move if rates came down to the 4 to 5% range.
And then what's he going to deal with, right, Brent?
Super interesting. Yeah, then he'll sell his house for a lot of money, right? But then he's going to have a harder time trying to buy another house. And the price on that house is going to be more than it is now. So here's a perfect example of somebody, that they interviewed that felt that way about it.
Exactly.
So, super interesting. Well, that concludes our market update, for this month, for August. So going over July stats, going over what happened in the mortgage space, going over some headlines. If you have any questions and you're watching this video not live, be sure to get a hold of us at our contact information that's been scrolling on the screen. And shout out to Mr. San Martin Rodriguez from the Prescott Times. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be here today to spread the knowledge. Any final questions? We don't got you. No audio on your end.
I said, thank you for all of your guys' special education, because without it, a lot of people are just sitting there not knowing how to go ahead and go about it. And I'd be one of those guys. But needless to say, great information. I think that having it from two sides of the spectrum, one being down south and one being up here in north. And Brent, I know that you work all over the state of Arizona, and you're hyper focused on Prescott in general. And also, I think it's Yuma. But anyways, if you guys want to go ahead and get a hold of these two guys, the information has been scrolling on the bottom of this screen right down here. And if you guys want any more information, please feel free to break out and call them and get a hold of them. They're really amazing guys to talk with. They're open book, and not to mention they got some answers. So with that being said, should we take us out? Do you have like a sign off or anything? Wait, did we do one the last time with Greg?
Oh, Greg, yeah, Greg did the Anchorman sign off.
the Anchorman sign off.
Stay classy, San Diego.
Yeah, stay classy, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys 100%, and I thank you so very much. And I hope that we've answered all the messages that everybody came to. With that, I'm out of here, my friends. I got a lot of things to do, and it's voting time in Prescott, Arizona. So get out there and vote right now. That's where I'm headed right now to go interview those guys to see how they're doing over there, waving their signs around.
Nice. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks.
Peace, guys.
Thank you.